You ever notice how in America every perfect family looks like a stock photo? Backyard barbecue, dad flipping burgers with a grin like he just won the lottery, mom laughing at some inside joke while holding a glass of white wine, kids running around with sticky popsicles like little sugar gremlins. That was us. Or at least, that was the Instagram version of us. In reality, I was just a tired husband working 60 hours a week in construction, smelling like drywall and cheap beer, while my wife Lisa played the role of suburban queen like she was auditioning for the Real Housewives of Nowhere, USA. At first, the changes were small. She started carrying her phone like it was a CIA-issued weapon. It never left her hand. Shower, phone on the sink. Dinner? Phone face down, screen locked. Even during family movie night, she'd pretend to watch, but her thumb twitched like she was texting Morse code to some secret lover. I made the rookie mistake of asking, "Who you texting?" and she hit me with the classic line every cheating wife must learn from some secret handbook. "Why are you so paranoid? You sound crazy." Crazy, that word stuck to me like duct tape, because once you're labeled crazy in a marriage, you're cooked. Every argument turns into a therapy session you didn't ask for. She even leaned in with that concerned voice, the one that sounds like she's auditioning for a Lifetime movie. "Maybe you should talk to someone, like a professional. It's not normal to be this insecure." Ah yes, Gaslighting 101. Convince your husband he's insane so you can keep cheating in peace. But I wasn't totally blind. I noticed things. Her work meetings that somehow always ended around midnight. Her sudden obsession with perfume she hadn't worn since college. The gym bag that never smelled like sweat but always like cologne that wasn't mine. In America, cheating wives always underestimate two things: husbands who know how to Google and Facebook posts from friends who can't keep their mouths shut. One night she claimed she was with her best friend Sarah, but Sarah was on Facebook Live at home, eating tacos and watching The Bachelor. Unless Lisa mastered teleportation, something wasn't adding up. Still, every time I asked questions, she turned the spotlight back on me. "Why are you interrogating me? Do you realize how toxic you sound?" She even pulled out the therapy card again, suggesting I might have trust issues from childhood. Brilliant move, really. Drag my mom into it. Nothing says betrayal like weaponizing your husband's family trauma to cover up your infidelity. That's when I started doubting myself. Meanwhile, I started keeping receipts, literally. Gas station receipts, time-stamped credit card charges, screenshots of her goodnight texts that didn't line up with her location. In America, we call that building a case. Like you're your own private detective, except instead of solving crimes for justice, you're just trying to prove your wife is sneaking around with a guy who probably drives a Dodge Charger and wears Axe body spray. What stung wasn't just the idea of cheating, it was the betrayal. This wasn't just toxic love. It was psychological warfare. She wanted me to question my reality, to feel insane for noticing obvious lies. Infidelity hurts, but gaslighting, that's another level of cruel. And if you've ever been in that spot, sitting at your own dinner table while your wife looks you dead in the eye and says you're imagining things, you know the kind of rage that boils up. It's the kind of rage that whispers revenge in your ear at night. I laughed to myself, thinking, maybe this isn't even about another man. Maybe she's in some underground cult that meets at hotels, drinking overpriced cocktails and plotting to make husbands nationwide believe they're crazy. Maybe it's bigger than me, a conspiracy of cheating wives forming the Illuminati of infidelity. Okay, maybe I was losing it a little, but paranoia feels better when you season it with humor. So there I was, the all-American dad with a perfect suburban family picture on the outside and a collapsing toxic love story on the inside. Betrayed, humiliated, but not broken. If she wanted to make me feel crazy, fine, I'd let her think she was winning. Because every good American revenge story starts the same way, with the hero staying quiet, biding his time, and waiting for the perfect proof to destroy the villain's act. And in this case, the villain wasn't some stranger. It was the woman I promised to love forever. If Part 1 felt like a sitcom with a laugh track missing, Part 2 was the full-blown psychological thriller. Lisa had upgraded her gaslighting playbook from beginner mode to advanced Jedi mind tricks. Every time I opened my mouth, she flipped the script so hard I felt like I was living inside a courtroom drama, except I was both the accused and the jury, and she was the smug lawyer who knew the verdict before the trial started. I'd ask a simple question. Why did your GPS say you were at the Marriott last night if you told me you were working late? And she'd shoot back without missing a beat. Do you realize how toxic that sounds? You're stalking me now? What kind of husband does that? And then I'd be the one apologizing. Apologizing for daring to notice my wife was treating hotel lobbies like her personal office. That's the power of gaslighting. It's not just lying. It's psychological judo. The thing about America is we love therapy. We don't just go to therapy. We binge therapy podcasts, quote therapists on Instagram, and slap healing journey captions under selfies. Lisa weaponized this cultural obsession like a pro. She'd look at me with those pitying eyes and say, "You need help, John. This isn't healthy. I think your unresolved family issues are making you hallucinate cheating where there isn't any." Imagine that. Your wife having an affair and blaming it on your mom grounding you when you were 10. She even staged interventions. Yes, plural. Picture this. One Saturday, I walk into my own living room to find her sister, her yoga instructor, and even her hairstylist sitting on my couch, nodding like an episode of Dr. Phil. Lisa stands there like a cult leader and says, "We're all worried about you. Your paranoia is scaring the family. The same word she was desecrating every time she whispered sweet nothings to whoever was on the other side of that locked iPhone screen. The hairstylist even chimed in, "Gaslighting? That's just a buzzword, sweetie. You're overthinking." And I thought, wait a second, the hairstylist? The guy who spends his afternoons bleaching teenagers' hair and gossiping about celebrity divorces? That's my intervention panel? I almost laughed, almost. But instead, I nodded, played along, and added another mental note to my evidence file. Because if this circus was her plan to make me doubt myself, it was working, but also backfiring. See, paranoia is like an American muscle. Once you start working it out, it gets stronger. Soon, every detail mattered. If she said she was grabbing Starbucks, I checked the receipts. If she claimed she was with friends, I stalked Instagram stories. I started connecting dots on a corkboard in the garage, red string and everything, like some suburban conspiracy theorist. Neighbors probably thought I was investigating aliens. In a way, I was, because clearly the woman I married had been abducted and replaced by a cheating pod person. But I wasn't just angry. I was humiliated. Betrayal isn't just about infidelity. It's about being made to feel like the village idiot in your own home. I'd sit at dinner, kids babbling about school, and she'd smile at me sweetly across the table, like nothing was wrong. And I'd wonder, is this how it feels to live in a Truman Show marriage? Everyone else knows the script but me? That thought alone planted the seeds of revenge. Because toxic love is one thing, but when your own wife makes you feel like a clown in front of your kids, the line between heartbreak and vengeance gets blurry real fast. One night, the mind games reached a new level. I caught her texting in bed at 2 a.m. She claimed it was her work group chat. I asked why her boss was sending heart emojis. She smirked and said, "Maybe you should take melatonin. You're seeing things again." Seeing things. Like I'd hallucinated the digital heart glowing on her screen. At that moment I thought, what if she's right? What if I really am losing it? But then my brain snapped back. No, this isn't madness. This is manipulation. And if she wanted me to think I was insane, fine. I'd play the role. I'd let her think she was the puppet master. Meanwhile, I'd sharpen my scissors and wait for the strings to snap. To cope, I started journaling like some self-help guru. Every lie, every inconsistency, every insult, I wrote it down. It was part therapy, part detective log. And somewhere between my notes, I realized something profound. This wasn't just my story. This was the story of every American husband who's ever been told, "You're imagining it," while watching his wife paint her lips for a work meeting. This was betrayal in its purest form. And revenge, sweet revenge, was no longer a question of if. It was only a question of when. So I smiled more, hugged her more, let her think she was winning the war. Because deep down, I knew her act wasn't bulletproof. One mistake, one slip-up, and her whole house of lies would collapse. And when it did, I wouldn't just be the husband she gaslit. I'd be the judge, the jury, and the executioner of her toxic little performance. If paranoia was my cardio, then proof became my protein shake. I'd been running laps around my own sanity, burning calories in the gym of betrayal, and finally I was ready to bulk up with cold, hard evidence. In America, we don't trust intuition alone. We need receipts, screenshots, video footage, maybe even a sworn affidavit from a Starbucks barista. Lucky for me, Lisa left digital breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel, only instead of leading to a gingerbread house, they led straight to the Motel 6 off I-95. It started with her car. She claimed she was at yoga, but her SUV smelled like a mix of cheap cologne and Taco Bell. Unless the new yoga routine involved downward dog at a drive-thru with some dude named Chad, something was off. So I checked the mileage. That's right. I became the kind of husband who tracked odometer readings like a NASA scientist monitoring a rocket launch. And wouldn't you know it? Her 10-minute drive always clocked an extra 40 miles. Unless she was taking the scenic route through Narnia, she was lying. Then came the phone records. Oh, the glorious, incriminating phone records. Americans love privacy until it bites them in the rear. One look at the bill, and there it was. Hours of late-night calls to an unknown number. 2 hours here, 90 minutes there, all conveniently timed when I was snoring. I copied that number faster than a high school kid cramming for finals and punched it into Google. Boom! Some gym trainer with a cheesy smile and an Instagram bio that read, "Helping people find their best selves." Yeah, buddy, you sure helped my wife find hers. In your sheets. Still, I needed visuals. So I went full conspiracy theorist. Bought a cheap motion-activated camera from Walmart, disguised it as an air freshener, and planted it in her car. Within a week, jackpot. Grainy footage of Lisa leaning across the seat, laughing, touching the arm of Mr. Gym Trainer like she was auditioning for a Hallmark rom-com. Betrayal in HD, folks. Infidelity captured at 720p resolution. The night I confronted her, I felt like a prosecutor prepping for trial. Picture me at the dining table, evidence neatly stacked like legal exhibits, printed phone records, screenshots, receipts, even a flash drive with video footage. Meanwhile, Lisa waltzed in like the star of her own sitcom, smiling, humming, pretending her act wasn't about to be canceled mid-season. "Lisa," I said calmly, "we need to talk." That phrase in an American household is basically a nuclear alarm. She froze, wineglass halfway to her lips, but then quickly slipped into character. "Oh God, what now? Are you going to accuse me of cheating again?" I didn't flinch. I slid the phone records across the table like I was in an FBI sting. Her face twitched, but she smirked. "Those are work calls." Cute. I clicked to the receipts. Motel charges, late-night Taco Bell runs, gym membership renewals that didn't match her workout schedule. "Business expenses," she scoffed. And then the pièce de résistance. I pulled out the flash drive, plugged it into the TV, and hit play. There she was, giggling in the car, holding hands with her trainer. For a split second, silence. Then she actually had the audacity to say, "That's not me. Not me." Unless she had a twin sister I'd never met, or the CIA cloned her for an infidelity operation, it was definitely her. That's when I realized the gaslighting wasn't just manipulation anymore. It had turned into full-blown improv comedy. She was improvising lies faster than an actor at a bad open mic night. But here's the thing about betrayal. Once you have proof, the gaslight burns out. Her words no longer mattered. Every "you're paranoid" and "you're toxic" disintegrated in the face of reality. And in that moment, I didn't even feel anger. I felt power. Sweet, liberating power. For months, she'd made me doubt my own sanity, and now the truth sat in 720p right in front of us. She panicked, of course, switched strategies mid-scene. Tears, apologies, excuses. The whole tragic theater. It didn't mean anything. I was lonely. You work too much. Classic American soap opera lines. But the performance was wasted. The act was destroyed. The audience, me, had already walked out. What she didn't realize was that my revenge wasn't in the confrontation itself. It was in the control. For the first time in months, I wasn't the crazy husband, the paranoid fool, the insecure wreck. I was the one holding the script, and she was the one fumbling her lines. Betrayal hurts, infidelity stings, toxic love scars you, but exposing the liar, that's the sweetest revenge. So I sat back, arms folded, while she drowned in her excuses, and for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I smiled. Not the smile of a man who forgives, but the smile of a man who knows the story isn't over. Proof wasn't the ending. Proof was just the intermission before Act 4, the part where revenge takes the stage. If Part 3 was the trial, Part 4 was the sentencing. And let me tell you, Judge John was not feeling merciful. After months of betrayal, gaslighting, and infidelity disguised as self-care, I finally had the kind of power American husbands dream of. Evidence, leverage, and the moral high ground. And in America, once you've got all three, you don't just leave quietly. Oh no, you go big. You go cinematic. Lisa sat there at the table, mascara streaking like a villain in a soap opera. She threw every excuse in the book at me. It didn't mean anything. I was confused. We're still family. Family. That word again, the one she desecrated every time she snuck into that Dodge Charger with her gym trainer. Hearing her beg with that word felt like watching a thief lecture me about honesty. Now, most people would think revenge means screaming, smashing plates, maybe torching her wardrobe in the backyard like a country music video. But me? No, I wanted elegance. I wanted Shakespearean drama. If she thought this was a toxic love story, I was about to flip it into a parody of epic proportions. Step 1. The audience. I called her parents on speakerphone. Old-school suburban mom and dad who thought their daughter was the perfect angel. "Hey," I said casually, "your daughter's been gaslighting me for months while having an affair with her trainer. Want proof?" Then I hit play on the car footage. Silence. Then her mom gasped like she'd just seen the ghost of Elvis. Her dad muttered something about raising her better. Meanwhile, Lisa shrieked, lunging for the phone, but I held it high like Simba in The Lion King. Step 2. The friends. I emailed the receipts, screenshots, and hotel bills to our mutual group chat. Petty? Sure. But betrayal thrives in shadows, and my revenge was sunlight, blinding, undeniable, humiliating. Within 10 minutes, her best friend texted me, "OMG, I had no idea." And I thought, yeah, you had no idea because Lisa's been gaslighting all of us. Step 3. Liberation. Divorce papers, already drafted thanks to my paranoia-driven late-night Google searches, slid across the table. Her jaw dropped. "You planned this?" she gasped. I shrugged. "Of course. You think I've been writing in my journal for therapy? Nah, that was my war log. Because in America we don't just suffer betrayal, we turn it into a legal weapon. But here's the twist. The revenge wasn't just about destroying her act. It was about reclaiming my sanity. For months she'd told me I was crazy, paranoid, insecure. And yet here I was, the sane one, the calm one, the man with receipts, while she crumbled like a bad actress who forgot her lines. That was the sweetest revenge of all. She tried one last act of desperation. Tears streaming, she whispered, "Can we fix this? For the kids? For our family?" And for a split second, I almost laughed. Family? The same family she endangered with her infidelity? The same kids she used as props in her toxic love theater? No. That word belonged to me now. I was going to rebuild it without her lies. So I stood up, collected my evidence like a lawyer leaving the courtroom, and headed for the door. She screamed after me, calling me heartless, cold, vengeful. And maybe I was. But betrayal turns even the warmest husband into a storm. And as I closed the door, I realized I wasn't leaving as the broken man she tried to gaslight. I was leaving as the author of my own ending. The neighborhood, of course, buzzed like a reality show. Suburban America loves nothing more than scandal, and within days, everyone knew. Lisa tried damage control, posting cryptic Instagram quotes about healing and forgiveness. Meanwhile, I posted a single photo, me grilling steaks with the caption, "Peace tastes better than betrayal." The likes rolled in. Sweet digital revenge. And you know what? Life after betrayal isn't tragedy. It's comedy. It's walking into Walmart and running into her gym trainer who suddenly couldn't look me in the eye. It's hearing neighbors whisper, "Did you hear what happened to Lisa?" It's sitting in my quiet house, sipping a beer, and realizing that freedom from gaslighting, from infidelity, from toxic love, is the best revenge of all. Because in the end, this wasn't a story about a cheating wife. It was a story about me refusing to let betrayal define me. About taking the script she wrote, where I was the crazy husband, and flipping it into a parody where I was the hero, the avenger, the man who walked away stronger. And as the credits rolled in my mind, I could almost hear the trailer voice. In a world of lies and cheating, one man dared to fight back with the ultimate weapon, the truth. Yeah, that man was me. And I wasn't crazy after all.